Mr. Speaker, there is no doubt that this is a huge issue. He utterly misunderstands the issue in talking about the WTO and the United Nations. But let's excuse his ignorance. There is no doubt that the prospect of a complete loss in correspondent banking relationships for a number of our banks in Belize is existential. I don't know if it's maybe a function of youth to all of a sudden be struck by these epiphanies, to encounter these startling revelations with respect to matters that have been obvious and in plain sight for long before the so-called revelation overtakes, in this case, the member for Caribbean Shores. To say that we need to treat it with urgency, to say that we need to lobby, is to state the obvious and to, in fact, get his tenses mixed up. It's not that we need to start to lobby, it is that we have already started to lobby, well before any assumption of chairmanship of CARICOM on my part. It is an issue that is on the regional agenda, but let us talk about what we in Belize have done and are doing, not what we will do. It was widely reported that I took up this issue with President Obama at the summit in Panama from as early as then. In consequence of that, the President set up a meeting for the governor of our central bank with U.S. Treasury officials. Notwithstanding that meeting, notwithstanding the fact that we and other countries continue to press, the situation does not yet appear to be near to a resolution. After that meeting that the governor of our central bank had with the U.S. Treasury in Washington, the Treasury Department, because we continue to make noise, I just asked the U.S. ambassador to come to see me 2 weeks ago as part of the continuing full court press. The U.S. Treasury convened a meeting in Panama in mid-December with the Tier 1 banks, the so-called Tier 1 banks, people like Bank of America and Citi and Bank of New York, and central bankers of this region, the small countries, including those in Central America, that have been affected. And there, the Belize position was articulately and comprehensively laid out by the governor of our central bank. I have announced, and it has been widely reported, that I am going to Washington, leaving this weekend, notwithstanding that 450-odd flights have been cancelled because of the winter storm that is looking to dump 2 feet of snow on Washington, D.C. I am going to Washington, leading a team comprised of the governor of the central bank, the financial secretary, Ambassador Mark Espat, and of course we will be joined in Washington by our ambassador to the U.S., Ambassador Andrews, precisely to make calls on all the key officials with respect to this issue. We have confirmed meetings already with the head of the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, because that is the agency that regulates the state banks, including a bank called Whitney Bank out of Louisiana, used to be in Belize some time ago, which is interested in pursuing correspondent banking relationships with our banks. And I also have confirmed a meeting with the head of the Office of the Controller of Currency. That is the regulator for the small community banks, such as the one that is now looking after credit card settlements for Belize Bank and Heritage and Choice Bank. So again, a member for Caribbean Choice, when you say that there is a problem with credit cards, there is no problem with credit cards. There may be in the future if that small bank in New York that's doing the settlements currently decides to pull out, and there are fears that that might happen, but that is why I'm going to Washington. So, Mr. Speaker, while it is true that ultimately we can't guarantee the successful outcome of my visit to the United States, we can at least make plain that we are doing everything that we can possibly do, and we can make plain that we will continue to do everything that we can possibly do until we find a solution to the problem. While clearly this is a phenomenon that is happening, and as he said, it's certainly affecting the entire region, and while all this means that we must move with urgency to deal with the situation in order to prevent a sort of cataclysmic scenario from overtaking us, don't act as though it has already happened. It hasn't. When you do that, when you say what you just said, you contribute to uncertainty, to instability, and to a lack of confidence. No bank, I repeat, in Belize currently is absolutely without a correspondent banking relationship. And while, as I said, Mr. Speaker, I cannot guarantee the outcome of the visit to Washington, I feel confident that we will be able to hold serve, to maintain serve. If he was like his father and uncle, he is a tennis player, so he will understand. We will be able to hold and maintain serve. And in fact, I am optimistic that we will get the kind of responses and the kind of solutions that we're looking for as a consequence of this trip.